Hello and welcome to Let's Talk. This is Keisha here. As you come on in, hit subscribe and share this message out. If you are watching from another platform, come on over to YouTube and subscribe and share this message out. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day today. As you know, this platform is all about exposing unhealthy thoughts and replacing them with healthy ones. It's about, realizing the mindsets that we have and how the way that we think directly impacts our actions and therefore our outcomes or results. And what I was thinking about recently was, if we look at what recently happened with this, election and all of the celebration that's been going on in the streets, and of course it's just wonderful to see it, but what you also reflect on, at least I did, reflect on what it's been like for the past 4 years. And what I thought was, little by little, from 4 years ago up until the present, how negative energy being introduced over a period of time, how it shifts the atmosphere. It shifts the mindsets. It shifts the emotions. We have never been, of course, a perfect country, right? But we can isolate out the past 4 years and see how it impacted those around us, right? As we move throughout this world, we can see the impact that negative energy, spewing out hatred, division, what it actually does to a person. And I say, take it from, 50,000 feet in the air and bring it down to your everyday life, right? And that's why it's so important, I believe, that you have people around you that are encouraging and uplifting, that are positive, that support you, because negative energy has an impact on you. People that are drama-filled have an impact on you based on their rhetoric, how they speak, how they act, the things that they're involved in. If you are in that environment, it has no choice but to rub off on you. In our case, right, we had no choice because we're living in the United States of America, right? So we had no choice but to be, subjected to the rhetoric and the negative influences that was, being put out over the airways, over social media, just everywhere you turned, it was there. And you started to see, it was almost like, a horror movie where you started to see people changing. Little by little, people started to change. And before they knew it, they were just in a place that was their new normal of just rage and anger. The new normal of unpleasantries, the age of the Karen, right? You have an officer just kind of on the microphone talking, Trump 2020, right? Where something like that would have never happened before. The things that we have heard out of, the mouth of the leader of this country has been shocking to many, right? And then it started to become normal, right? We started to hear that same rhetoric being spewed out from other people, and so much so that we now walk around as different races in this melting pot of a country, not really feeling comfortable with our position in it. And once again, I say, bring it down to the level of your everyday living, right? As you travel about, as you take public transportation, as you go to the grocery store, as you're driving on the highway, as you're in your office, right? All of those environments, when you think about it on a smaller scale, it should let you know that your atmosphere and the people that are in it directly impact the way that you think and feel on a daily basis. You think that you just feel and think what you feel and think. But when you really look at it, you will know that you are influenced by your surroundings. And it just took me, I'm feeling a lot better right now, just kind of based on potential of different rhetoric, just from what we've seen during this process here of election night, and the communication that has been on both sides of it. One is about peace, and the other one is still trying to drive dissension, still trying to inject in drama, where the other side is talking about unity and healing. Two totally different conversations. And are we thinking about that when it comes to ourselves on a regular everyday basis? Are we thinking about that when it comes to our social life? Are we thinking about that when it comes to what we are listening to and watching on social media? Are we, thinking about that when it comes to our children, right? And the people that they allow around them, the other kids that they socialize with and play with, and people that they're communicating with online, the people in the neighborhood that they are associating with. Are we thinking about it from that perspective? Because we saw it on a global scale, right? From the United States of America, how injecting negative and drama and twisting things with a negative agenda, the impact that it had, it was almost like people's minds were being poisoned little by little over an extended period of time. And guess what? We can experience that same thing. We start out at point A, and because of our choices and our associations and our circles, we end up in a different destination other than what we intended. So how important is it for you to remove certain people from your social media? How important is it for you not to accept phone calls from certain people, or to go out and socialize and have a drink, or go out to dinner, or whatever it is, go shopping with, right? With certain types of people. Because you will find that when you immerse yourself with people who are go-getters, people who are positive thinkers, people who are optimistic, people who are encouraging, people who are overcomers, that it will evoke in you innately, right? Just from being in that surroundings, right? A rising tide raises all ships. Just from being in that atmosphere, it will create in you a mindset and an attitude of, I can overcome, seeing things from, perspective of half full as opposed to half empty. That those associations mean something for your future. And we only have one of these to live, right? So every choice that we make sets us up for another choice that we're going to have to make that we might not even know about yet. So I just encourage, today, in listening to my voice, that you can see it on a global scale. Now use something that you can relate to with the world stage, right? And the impact that it had on so many of us in several different states, right? But think about it also, that was an example, a light being shined on how we can really be influenced. We can be influenced by rhetoric. We can be influenced by evil. We can be influenced by listening to the wrong things, watching the wrong things. And it sets us on a track of something that wasn't even intended for us. But if we choose wisely, our associations and the things that we watch and the things that we listen to, the things that we allow to go into our eye gates, our ear gates, into our emotional space, the private corridors of our life, right? The secret places. If we keep a watch over that space, then we can be more productive in our lives. If we are immersing ourselves around people who actually have our best interests at heart, who speak into our life as a deposit, right? Not as a withdrawal, but they speak into our lives as a deposit. Their presence makes us feel whole. Their presence actually ignites fire in us to be more, to do more, to reach higher. That is the circle and the environment that we want to be around. And then this is the biggest part of it too. Once you have that, and that is created, it's about duplicating that with other people. Why? Because I believe that just like I think it says in the scripture that you can have a room full of darkness, right? And you light one candle in that room, not in the whole house, but in that room, it will illuminate that room, right? Why? Because the darkness cannot overtake the light. So in the same way, even if you have negative people spewing negative things, trying to influence in some negative way. Like how sometimes you see in people's, comments and stuff that people go way left and say something like way out of field, right? Well, if you now saturate that space, right, with positivity, the person who is negative will ultimately leave or reverse themselves. So I say that we want to continue to be light and continue to bring that forward as we are moving about in society, as we are experiencing things and we are sharing those experiences, that you have to be mindful of how that influence rolls out. I had a scenario recently in my office amongst associates, and there was something, that was said from a higher up, and one of the associates started to just kind of spew out negative rhetoric. And no one is knocking it for the sentiment of it, right? Because we all have to vent. We all have feelings, and no one is saying that you shouldn't feel what it is that you feel to vent it out, because it's healthy to vent it out, right? So that you could just kind of get it off your chest and work it through so that you can move forward in a more positive way yourself. But you have to also be mindful of your audience in that space, because you influence other people. So when you are doing that in an environment, like in this case, that was being done in an environment that could have potentially influenced that other associate to start to hold the same mindset of a momentary space for the first associate. So the first associate is someone that, you vent, but is definitely someone that's dependable, reliable, accountable, and does their job so well. The other associate is fairly new. So now this associate who has tenure, right? The other associate is admiring them already, right? Because they have tenure, and they're looking up to them already because they have tenure. And now they are watching you spew out negative things based on a momentary feeling about something that you're not in agreement with, that you're going to filter through and go move beyond and still perform at the top of your A, right? But this other associate does not know that part. So now that other associate could potentially walk away, taking on that negativity that was a moment in time, and now that becomes the whole world of that person. They start to walk that out and live that out and perform in that way that can have a negative consequence for them in their future and in their career. It makes sense? And I had to correct that situation at the time, right? So I had to call it out at a moment, with also trying to balance not making the other person, look or feel bad, right? But then I took it off, took it aside afterwards and spoke to that person one-on-one. But in that moment, I had to stop the action to say, don't do that, because I needed to protect the ears and the emotional space of the new associate that was listening. Make sense? And then as a one-off, I had a conversation with the other associate to say, hey, I get it. I get that you was frustrated in that moment. I get exactly how you feel. However, you need to be mindful of this new associate that you are influencing and the impact that it can have on them when they are new, they are excited, they are ambitious, they want to do the best they can in their role. You want to nurture that. You don't want to influence that in a negative way by your hand. So I gave that example because I think that on the world stage, we think about what our leadership has been and the impact that it's had on people because the leader was not thinking from the perspective of what my platform holds regarding influence, what my platform holds as far as changing and shifting people. When I say I don't think you understood, I'm saying that very lightly. Why? Because yes, you were wanting to get a negative outcome that fed something that was in you. I definitely get that. But what I mean in general is now, if it's over, right? What is going to happen? You're going back out into this world with people that you have hurt, people that you have influenced in a negative way that now will potentially start to act those things out that can negatively impact you too. We shall see. But for everyone that's watching this right now, I say it to say, in our little world where we live right here, right? What is it that we see in the atmosphere around us? What choices are we are making to guard ourselves from negative influences that can hinder and hurt us and tear our spirits down? And also, what are we doing to be light in other people's lives so that we can help them also be encouraged and influenced in a positive way as well too? So that's what I was thinking about. And I was seeing it from two different perspectives. One is from the world stage and the impact of what I observed over the past 4 years. And then thinking about it from just everyday living. You know what I'm saying? The person next door, the person driving next to us on the highway, the person in our office, you know, our little circles, you know, the people that we socialize with, the people that we talk to on the phone, the people that we communicate with when we're down, when we're sad, when we're struggling, when we're... What are those influences and what are those impacts that they're having on you? And when you are the one on the other end of that phone call, what are you feeding out to others? You know, is it from your own perspective and where you sit? Or is it for the betterment of the other person, being compassionate and considerate and genuinely concerned for that person's well-being and the influence that you're bringing, what kind of impact that will have in their lives? So I hope that helped. You know, as I say, visit mentalshiftmastery.com, pick up a copy of my book, Overcoming the Hand You Were Dealt. It talks, of course, all about my life story, things that I've had to overcome. I share from that perspective of the overcoming mindset and the struggles of that process and that journey, and all of my interactions and influences, and how I've influenced others over the course of my life. So I share on this platform based on that perspective. And my goal, you know, of course, is to give an aha moment to someone, to encourage someone, to let other people know that what you're thinking and what you're feeling, that you're not alone, that you're not the only person. So I just encourage you to share this message out. Of course, like on this message as well too, and pick up a copy of that book, Overcoming the Hand You Were Dealt, and follow me at lifeunlimitedkt on Facebook and Overcomer2770 on Instagram. Also, if you want to get a copy of the book and you don't want to wait for the paper copy to come in the mail, you can download it. You can download it right from the website at mentalshiftmastery.com. And of course, after you read it, if there's anyone that needs to be encouraged based on any kind of struggles that they might have that relates to what I've shared in the book, absolutely pass it on. Pay it forward or lead them to the website so that they can grab a copy of their own. So once again, this is Keisha from Let's Talk, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Be blessed.